We're going to let you take it away, Dan. We're going to go backstage now, and we'll come back on stage at about 25 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and go through those Q&A with you.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks so much.
Awesome.
All right, y'all. Enjoy.
What's up, everybody? I wanted to thank every one of you for coming up to this event. This is a first for us. My name is Dandee. I'm the VP of Growth here at liftoffagent. Bear with us if we have a little bit of lagging. I am on 500 Mbps business internet, but we still have some issues from time to time. But like I said, I'm Dan Gandy. I'm the VP of Growth here at liftoffagent. I've been working here for 4 years on the growth sector, helping hundreds of agents really turn on their marketing. Just a brief background so you understand where I'm coming from and what information I'm going to drop here. I was in all different sectors of marketing. I have a BS in advertising from Kent State University. I've worked in luxury construction, luxury real estate, $1 billion Keller Williams office. I've consulted and helped numerous top 1% producers in the country. And I also am a real estate broker team leader here in Eugene, Oregon. I'm gonna really talk the story through getting that license and as being an investor, how that marketing and those systems and those KPIs really have allowed us to scale with about half the bandwidth of a normal team. And ultimately, the topic of today's conversation in this keynote opening event is systems to scale your business. So what I want to do is I want to screen share real quick. Just bear with me for 1 sec. I use a lot of different tools, so I'm just going to get right into it, guys. The ultimate way of setting up your real estate business is understanding whether you're just getting into the business or you're experienced and you've been selling real estate for 25 years. You got to understand the buyer and seller process. And really what I wanted to talk about is not all the marketing, not all the jazz, not all the stuff that generates business first, but I want to talk about understanding the operational sequence of real estate, guys. If you don't understand how to take a buyer from the first call all the way to finish and handing them the keys and that past client follow-up, or you don't know how to take a listing and go all the way through the process, essentially, how are you going to outsource that, right? How are you going to be able to create, and I do see your question down there, is there any way to make your screen bigger? That I do not know. I wish I could, but this will be recorded. So I'm using Monday.com here, not to go on a tangent, but what I wanted to talk about is first, you need to dissect the buyer and seller process from the very first touch all the way to when they become a past client. And this has not been taken from anybody else. This was put into place by my process from start to finish. And I have key milestones within this process, guys, that tell when a transaction coordinator takes over and starts to be able to develop things. It tells me when my photographer jumps in or stager jumps in. It tells me when my business partner inserts them into a past client follow-up system. And putting this all together, it also has our marketing timeline. And this essentially is from A to Z, the entire process, give or take some minor details that have been left out on how to list a property. Okay. Next, and what I wanted to share, like I said, how to work with a buyer. Now, we know this list for the buyer is actually about the same size, but we know as real estate agents, buyers take way more amount of time. So I don't want you guys to get stuck on every single individual step here, but what I want you to know is if you're going to build systems, you're going to hire people or outsource any part of the buyer or seller process, you need to understand the process yourself. You need to map it out into your mind and go through it from step one all the way to the finish. If you don't do this, how are you essentially going to make that happen? And that's the key question here, guys. You got to be able to make it happen. And so first, it's starting with the transactional system, mapping it out, understanding where a transaction coordinator meshes into it, understanding where an ISA or your marketing guy meshes into it, understanding when you need to outsource things, right? To listing prep, cleaners, stagers, photographers, drone pilots, whatever it is, right? Everything is in that step. And then the buyer side, making sure that your lender understands your process so that they can follow up and understand what you're doing. So Monday.com, some people use Asana. There's also other different types of technology, but this is what we use, and it's made us very successful. Before I jump off Monday.com in terms of operational systems, I want to show you what I do with leads. This is super important, guys. I use KV Core. I use Follow Up Boss. KV Core is free with my brokerage. Follow Up Boss is something else that we use. It's both on the investment side and the real estate side. So shout out to our sponsor. What I want to let everybody know is that when a lead comes in and it's a prospect, and really let's focus there on why this is super important. When a lead comes in and you mark it in your CRM, you have tons of prospects. But as soon as those people raise their hand, they ask to get pre-approval from a lender, or it's a possible listing that's, not in nurture phase. Anybody who becomes a hot prospect or a warm prospect, I pull out of the CRM and I plop them into Monday.com in our TEA team lead tracker. The reason for this is it allows us to have very fine focus on who's important right now, right? This is the Doppler or the radar for our business. This allows us to know and leave notes specifically for clients. Now, why I'm doing this not in the CRM is for two reasons. One, it allows my ISAs to keep working prospects to get them to this stage. Two, it allows my team to understand that they're not real until they're on the tracker. This allows us to understand how many buyers and sellers we're working. And as we put them in this warm lead hopper and we start to cultivate those relationships, as soon as it goes into any type of hot lead or active listing or buyer in contract, we literally move these people. We move them down into the stage that they're at. And what that allows us to do is take a prospect all the way from start to finish, and we can be able to create and visualize that process. So if you're not on a team that all shares the same CRM and you guys are not, you're all working together to basically use that process, it allows you to work those leads through every bit of the process. It doesn't matter if it's a buyer, seller, investor, doesn't matter, right? It could even be a lease client that you're working with. And I even put referral agreements in here, guys. I put referral agreements in here, and when they go to close, I move them all the way down to past clients. They have closed now. I've been paid on it. But this essentially allows us to have good transactional workflow. Any TC can jump in at any time. She knows exactly where people are. She knows when we've canned somebody or just dropped them back into the CRM. They're not going anywhere. They're a long-term nurture. But I ultimately want to tell you guys that this is the key to being able to cherry pick your leads out, put them into your transactional process, and then understand how to manage them, where your bandwidth is, right? Because I see a lot of people, right? They're just scattered, right? They're working on a transaction or two. Next thing you know, they're like, oh my God, there's a few buyers I need to get a hold of. You can hit this every morning, know where you're at, update it, put dates and timelines, put how much value in GCI that you're going to earn off that client. But I wanted to share this because I learned this system early on. Got to be able to work through this process. So this is it for Monday.com. I have some parking lot. This is the last thing I'll say real quick on parking lot. If there's projects and things you want to get to, don't forget them. Don't scribble them down on a random piece of paper. Put them and create a parking lot. And in that parking lot, drop things into marketing, sales, operations, finance, and being able to, we just started using this parking lot system. It allows us to really understand what we need to get to next. And that is essentially what I wanted to share with Monday.com. So that is that. So first, we've talked about buyer, seller process. We've talked about transactional management and workflow and lead flow. But next, I wanted to really share something that is about these key metrics, right? That's a lot about what we wanted to talk about today. And I want to share this in a way that everyone knows how this operates. And bear with me for a second. So when it comes to key performance indicators, understanding where your ISAs are with how many calls they're making a day, appointments set, appointments met, deals put into, or listings into contract, buyers, buyers with their lender process, whatever it is, right, guys? We ultimately start the process each year with having a master income goal. You guys have probably heard this from other coaches. This is not new, but I want you to understand that you need to work backwards. It's that reverse engineering. I'm good friends with Ricky Carruth, who is speaking at this event. And when I first met with him, when I came on to EXP, I showed him this document and he's like, I don't even need to help you guys. Your timeline, your workflow, what you're trying to do. And even though we're not going to hit our goal this year because we're part-time, I wanted to kind of show you where that goal was. So at the beginning of this year, I set an annual gross sales goal of 7.2 million. Now, if I was in the California market, this would probably be about 17 to 20 million just because of the price per house. But in my market, I set a goal of 7.2 million. We're going to probably at the end of this year be at 3.5 million in sales. So we've hit 50% of our revenue goal. But I knew how many transactions that goal was the average number of deals to get there was about 18. I am at 16 now, and there's still 3 months. I got 4 that are pending, and I have 3 listings. So there's 7 more transactions that possibly could close because we will hit that sides goal. Then what I broke it down is by average price point of these homes, what the average net commission was, average gross commission, and then annual gross revenue per team member, because I do have a business partner, and then kind of breaking it down by transactions. How many buyers, how many sellers do I need to work with this year to hit that goal, right? And I want you to always understand that anybody can jump on a meeting with me or shoot me a DM and I'll break this down for you. But ultimately, this is the most important aspect of understanding transactional KPIs, all right? Number of scheduled listing appointments that you need, number of met listing appointments you need, how many listing appointments you need signed, right? And these key conversions are then broken down by year, month, week, day. And Norman just asked me if I could share these slides. What I will do is I'll put some screenshots together, or we'll record this video and kind of walk you through that process. But what I came down to is this: the gross number of listing appointments I needed this year was 50 to hit 7.2 million. Guys, I'm about halfway there. We've had about 20 listing appointments, but there's been an influx of buyers our first year. So this has kind of been offset. But gross listing appointments per month, about 4. We're hitting about 2 listing appointments a month. Obviously, if we're going to scale at half of what our goal is, that's about right. And then gross listing appointments needed per week was 1. And we're consistently about every 10 days, there's a listing, even into the slow season. A lot of my top producing friends, even in my own market, don't have 3 or 4 listings right now. So a lot of that has to do with how you communicate that goal and how you look at it visually, and then being able to set realistic goals. Like me and Norman always go back and forth because he's a passionate person and he always wants to set goals that I think are unobtainable, but I like to set goals that I think are still probably unobtainable, but are realistic. And that starts with this transactional mapping, understanding your production goals. And the last piece of this real quick before we jump to something else is the gross number of sellers per year, the gross number of calls per month, the gross number of calls per week, and the gross number of calls per day, okay? We haven't been hitting this, I'll tell you that. But if this was a heavy outbound and I was doing this full time, I need to be talking to 10 new people a day minimum to hit this goal. At a minimum, 10 new conversations with people I've never talked to, Monday through Friday, every day. 50 people a week, 200 a month has to be there, right? So if you're full-time and you're understanding why am I not hitting my listing or buyer goal, or there's key components to the system, right? It's the systems to scale. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you guys. On this exact sheet, and let me not be all over the place here for a second. This is the Exit Agents Master Planner. This has everything from our production plan to our marketing plan to our technology stack, landing, all that kind of stuff. And we keep everything in one document. There's other ways to organize this. This might not work for for a lot of people, but it just allows us to kind of work through this process as best as possible. Now, I want to share something here. Give me 1 second. It is on a different screen. Property Boost. I'm going to stop sharing. The next thing I wanted to talk about is this. Give me a second. I need to move this over. There we go. Next thing I wanted to talk about is how you get there. All right. How do you set up a system to get there? A lot of people talk about, you know, what to do and how to get there. There's a lot of paid coaching. Whatever way or mode of transportation you're going to get there, right? You got to set up a system. So let's talk about a daily system or a weekly system. So we talked about calls. We talked about production goals. We talked about how we track things, how we lead flow. But this is ultimately what I want to talk about. I'm rating a piece of high value content because at Liftoff Agent, what I try to do is once a month, release something that agents can use, even if they never signed up for our services, use, and you will be given a leave behind with tons of this high value content on resources, guides, flow charts, things that you can use in your business at just the minimum to be able to be more successful. So here's the next piece of this is a sneak peek on the next HVCO that we're coming out with: how to close 3 million in transactions using a simple 10-step weekly productivity plan. And I know it's a tongue twister, but ultimately this is all you need to know. I went from 0 people in my pipeline to doing my first transaction. My very first transaction, I was licensed for a week and I took a listing. I had to learn it. I had to understand it. Luckily, I had a mentor. He walked me through the process. It went pending, over asking, and I understood from the beginning that I will work with buyers, but listings is where it's at. So what I want you to understand something, guys, is that whatever your productivity plan is every week, this is what we modeled it after. We want to generate 25 new leads a week. That doesn't matter if it's coming from Google PPC, Facebook, IG, cold calling, Property Boost, direct mail, whatever marketing that we're doing. I'm not going to share everything that we're doing, but there's a lot of money being spent at specific things that we know work, and there's some testing going on every single day. 25 new leads a week. If you look at it from a Monday through Friday perspective, and Saturdays and Sundays are kind of your showing and listing and open house days, that's 5 new leads a day, okay? You need to generate 5 new leads a day. If you don't generate 5 new leads a day, you're not going to hit a production goal and be able to keep growing. So we set that at a minimum. You're going to want to post 5 social media posts that are either listings, authentic content, family, stories, real deal, Holyfield grit that people want to see, right? They want to understand your life. They want to be in the moment and understand what you're doing. So that's 5 social posts a week. There's experts out there. They could, we have Ed that's going to be on. He may say something different, but this is what we've been doing. We've been posting 1 IGTV a week, maybe 2. We've been posting 1 reel a week just to keep things fresh. Some are a total flop. Others, like 2 nights ago, I think there was like 1,700 people that saw it. I added 5 or 6 followers. What I wanted to tell you first before we talked about video is in all of that, generating the leads and all the social media activity. I started my Instagram account, I think, in the beginning of August 1st. So it's been 1 year. And I just hit 1,100 followers. It's about 85 new followers a month. Organic, not paid for, just keep pushing out content. But of those, like 85 to 100 per month, right? You're going to get stall points that happen. You're going to hit the wall in terms of what you should be posting. That's when you reach out to people and you start to generate more ideas, right? Ask experts, get coaching, watch guides, whatever you need to do. And my goal is to go from 1,100 to 2,500 this next year. And it's just those incremental process of honing that, tweaking this, and then being able to walk through that. So really what I want to talk about real quick is shooting 1 YouTube video a month. Now, it should be a week, but it's hard for a lot of people to understand that it is not every day that you're going to be able to shoot videos. And this is my Liftoff Agent website, but what I wanted to share is our 3 bucket system. So it's all about systems of scale, guys. high value content. We got a video to start off in our funnel. It's a book I wrote, how to sell every rental property you own in 30 days or less for 13% more. But ultimately what I wanted to show you right here, we are investment agents, relocation agents, and downsizing agents. That's what we do. First, investors. Second, mostly downsizing and listings. And then relocation clients, people moving to and from Oregon. But every month we want to shoot, between me and my business partner, I want to shoot 2 videos. He wants to shoot 2 videos. And as we build this consistency, you're going to see that these videos start to feed into our website. They're posted on social media. And even if they get 13 views or they get 30 views, it's that consistency that we're pumping out content. People are seeing us, and it's SEOing, guys. It's when you Google search our name, these videos are popping up. So people know we're active. They understand that we have authority. So we're building authority there. And ultimately what I'm trying to tell everybody is building consistency, guys, in that weekly productivity plan. Those key performance indicators that you want to hit in your business is not just numbers and commission dollars. It's activity, right? It's the activities that you're doing and that consistency of productivity, that operational discipline, right? So shoot 1 YouTube video a week. That's 4 a month. If you do the math, that's a lot of videos per year. You can get a lot of content out there. Next, and what we're going to leave with is I want you to network with 5 new people a week. Once a day or once every other day, I want you to call somebody either in your SOI or friends of a friend or lenders or title officers. I just need you to keep on networking. Your pipeline doesn't grow. I moved to Eugene, Oregon, I think 6 or 7 years ago. I knew this many people. Now, I think when we send out our weekly email, we have probably close to 600 people on that list, right? And that's been done by growing relationships, going to networking events, Oregon Real Estate Investors Association, Rental Owners Association, getting belly to belly with investors. And I know COVID has thrown a curveball to this, but even on Zoom, guys, being able to help people, give them great advice, and being able to share and have that sense of community. So network with 5 new people a week if you can. Build 1 system a week. So if there's anything that you keep doing in any type of repetitive pattern, create a system, document it, put it on a Google Word document, write down the steps so that when you do bring in an ISA, when you do bring in a director of operations, when you bring in somebody to help you with marketing, this is how I've been doing it. Maybe you can tweak it, make it better, infuse it with more strategy, but this is what I've been doing. Document that process. That's 52 systems a year, guys. Say you take 2 weeks off a year, 50 systems, guarantee your real estate business is in a way better place. I want you to donate next on this list 1 hour of mentorship a week. Find somebody out there that wants to get licensed, find an investor that's just getting started, whatever it is, guys. It could be, helping homeless people, feeding people at a homeless camp, whatever it is, right? I want you to donate either mentorship, 1 hour, or community service. Reason, A, it helps the community, but 2, it gets your name out there. People understand who you are. You're not just doing it to get more business. You're doing it because it feels good, and ultimately you want to help people, right? It's never about the commissions dollars. It's those relationships over transactions, methodology, and it's the mentality that, hey, if I make my community a better place, naturally, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to grow more relationships, and people are going to understand who I am and my character. So do that.
Go ahead. Thank you.
So last and not least is following up with past clients and picking up 1 listing, 1 new buyer a week. If you do that, I'm telling you guys, every week you're going to be at 60 transactions in year 2, year 3, and that's where the magic starts to happen. That's when you can start implementing these systems that you've been documenting. And ultimately, your real estate business, from our perspective, can be transaction coordinator, marketing director, listing manager, and operations manager. And as you will see with all these top producers, a lot of them are not even doing production anymore. So build the systems to scale. If you want to jump on a networking call, you want to follow me on Instagram, Oregon Real Estate Expert is my handle. More than happy to share anything that I do with anybody, free of charge. It's all about helping our community and lessening that failure rate in real estate. So thank you guys.
Wow.
Appreciate it. Norman, let's kick it off.
Wow, man, that was amazing, Dan. I mean, that was so much packed and just impactful amount of information. And we had someone in the chat ask if you can go ahead and give any of the information, like the deck that you had, things of that nature. So I Slacked you because I know that we're on Slack. So if you can give me the deck, I can download it. And for everyone who's watching right now that wants anything that Dan just went over as far as like the slide deck and things of that nature, on the top it says chat. It says Q&A, it says file. So if you go to file, you can actually download that there. So stay tuned for that to come and the file to be there. So that way you could be able to get that information. So Dan Hunt said, that's awesome, awesome, awesome. So in the chat, any questions? So we're gonna take questions for a couple minutes before we're gonna go ahead. Oh, we just got a smiley face. Thanks so much for that emoji that just came up there. People are getting techie over here. I think if you put emojis in the chat, I believe might go on the screen. I didn't see my emoji, but that's that. Also, technical difficulties. If anyone wanted to see, there you go. I see a smiley face popping up. If anyone wants another smiley face, there you go. Wow, they're techie around these parts. So if anyone wants to, make the shared screen larger, you double click it. It then will make it larger, and you double click it, and it makes it smaller. So some people said, Dan, I can't, for Dan, I can see him, and it's hard to see the shared screen. If you want the whole entire screen to cover your whole entire computer screen, you double click that share that he's sharing for his screen, and you'll be good to go. So let's take a minute or two of questions. So any questions that's coming up? Awesomeness, fantastic, love all of it. Thank you, Larry. So any questions for anyone for Mr. Dan Gandy on systems, processes, something that's coming up for you before we go into your best takeaway, and then you have an opportunity to win another gift. All right, so much for being super techie. The old double click was the trick. That was from Ryan. Ryan, thank you so much for winning and participating and actually putting. So this is live chat. I can read any of this. And Dan, go ahead. I think you had something.
Yeah. So this wasn't a slide deck. So I wanted to share with everybody. I can't just share these documents because they are my personal documents with a bunch of client personal information on. But what I can do is jump on a call or shoot you an email, or we can talk via FaceTime. I will tell you how to set these up. I can give you a basic framework because in all of this, right, I would have to delete all the information on every one of these documents and then share it as a new copy. So I want to do anything I can do to help people, but ultimately we want to be able to also protect that private information that's on some of those documents. So.
Well, there you go. You're getting live information, so you know that this is straight up live information. Dan is going through this process. Larry just gave an email. I Slacked the email to Dan. Dan, it looks like Larry would like to get some additional information. Cool. And just so everyone knows, we will be having some leave behinds on day 2. So we'll be having leave behinds, specific things you could do to help scale your business coming into 2022. It looks like Ashley said in the weekly productivity, step 1 is generate 25 leads, and then in parentheses, 5 a day. Is that the same 5 people as step 6, or is that an additional 5 people?
Good question. So let me go back up. There was some more questions. Do you have a preference for KV Core or Follow Up Boss? So I prefer Follow Up Boss to KV Core. KV Core is provided to us at EXP. Nothing against either of the systems, but KV Core has a lot of in-depth training that you need to do to understand the system, to put it to work. A lot of the drip campaigns and a lot of the stuff that it is. It's not that it's not user-friendly, but I would say if you looked at the two systems, Follow Up Boss is way easier out of the box to get started for the average agent who's not running a powerhouse team or doesn't, when I say about powerhouse teams, like you can use either system, but I prefer Follow Up Boss, both for my investment side and the agent side. Then to answer
that's
your
awesome.
question,
Follow Up Boss is our sponsor, so that's perfect.
Yep. Alyssa in the weekly productivity, step 1 is to generate 25 leads, 5 a day. Is the same 5 people as step 6? No. Okay. A lead or a prospect to me is not build a network with 5 new people, because the network of 5 new people, you don't know where they're in the process of buying or selling, right? It's just about sharing that you can help them. You're growing a relationship with them. Generating 5 new leads, when I define a lead, is somebody that's coming in saying, hey, I was interested in that house, so I'm a buyer, or I was interested in possibly understanding like what my value of my house was, or any type of aspect of motivator, right? Or interest in investing, right? I'm a first-time I got some money, but I'm interested in investing. That's a lead. The 5 new people a week to network with is to grow your name recognition, your reach and frequency, your top of mind awareness in your community, and also your branding, your authority, your expertise building. That's huge. But also it creates more SOI as well. So I hope that answers your question.
I love it. I love it. So she said, thank you. So it did answer her question. So the intention now, before we go live with our next keynote speaker, Mr. Andy G, who's actually coached by Mr. Ryan Serhant out of New York. He's talking about vlogging and YouTube and how he's built his business with that. We want to find out what's the best takeaway. So what was your best takeaway, so we can give away our last gift thanks to Follow Up Boss. And then we want to encourage everyone to go to the expo for the time frame before we hit our next keynote speaker. And our next keynote speaker is going to be around, it looks like 9:40. That's going to be in the schedule. So takeaways, what do we have here? 75% personal, 25% business. That's Dan. We have Ryan. What percentage of your social posts are business versus personal? Go to Dan Gandy's breakout room, and he's going to have his own breakout room. You can ask him specific questions there like that. Whole process, buyer and seller, and convenience. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So it looks like the best takeaway that I'm seeing here is going to be systems, everything. Okay. It looks like, what do you think, Dan? What would you say based off what you're seeing in the chat? Who would you say has the best takeaway from your keynote?
I think it was, I think my biggest takeaway is organize and set up, get more organized and set up systems. I want to say that Ryan probably hit the nail on the head, because from a macro version, the biggest takeaway is getting more organized. So many agents are busy, and we've seen this at the liftoff agent side. They come in, they're like, yeah, I'm going to do this. Everything's great. But it's that organizational piece of your brain that you have to say, hey, I'm going to set a reminder to do this. Hey, I'm actually going to be consistent and do this. Hey, I'm going to create a system so I don't have to do the same thing over 5,000 times and understand or wonder how I can't outsource it. So I think it's Ryan, 100%.
I love it. I love it. So Ryan, we would love to give you a gift. Unfortunately, Ryan already won. You won the first gift. So it can't be Ryan, but just full transparency, the person that comes up next to that, I see strategize everything. Or which one do you see?
Let's give it to Alicia Barefoot. That's she know the whole process of the buyer seller and being consistent. So I would say that.
There you go, Alicia Barefoot. You're going to be the winner of. We have a Bluetooth microphone that plugs into your phone, and it's a lapel mic, and I believe it's like a value of around $50 or $60. So we want to go to the breakout session now. 5 minutes for expo. Check out the expo, or you can go and ask Dan additional questions, and then you could potentially get a networking session or 2. In the networking section, you have 3 minutes to network, and then it'll put you into a room for someone else. And as we go through this event, we'll get even better throughout the process. Dan, thank you so much. Anyone wants to talk to Dan one-on-one, go to his breakout room, and we'll see you all here at 9:40. You will be notified on your computers. Thank you again, Dan.
Thank you, guys. See you at the breakout.
All right.